Okay, so today I thought we would be doing a spelt udon noodle. Now, typically the udon that we know is the Japanese kind of thicker version of their wheat noodle. We've been doing so many like whole food plant-based recipes lately. I wanted to give an option of having the noodles be whole food plant-based as well. But of course, if you wanted to just use soba, or if you made some like whole wheat noodles yourself, you could just substitute that. I thought that this would be kind of a nice touch to it. I have 200 grams of a wholemeal spelt flour. So that's like everything is in it, like the bran, the outside, all of that good stuff, just to make it, you know, whole food. Next, we have the liquid. Usually water amount wise, it's a little less than, ooh, just slipped there. It's a little less than half of the flour. Because this is spelt, I'll give you the final amounts in the description. Typically it's water and salt. We're going whole food plant-based, so I've mixed just a little bit of miso in here just for flavor. Okay. There you go. I started off with a little bit less water than I think that I would need. But typical udon that's made with just, you know, wheat flour, it's kind of a dry dough. It's the first time that we made it, I'll link to the recipe. It's quite a dry dough, and what you're supposed to do is, there are different styles of it, but in Japan, a lot of the times what they do, because the dough is so thick, is you use that like foot method where you stick all of this into a plastic bag, step on it. You kind of like roll it out a little bit, you step, fold it into three, you like step on it a lot of times, and that functions as the kneading bit. And it's useful because udon, it is not like long stretchy dough. It doesn't stretch, it doesn't have that kind of a bite. When you eat udon, it's soft, it gives, like it's thick, but it gives. And the reason for that, with the kneading method, it's almost like you're compacting the dough. You're never stretching it for a really long time because you're folding it into three, and then every single time you're kind of like condensing and compressing and condensing. In this way, it's a little bit of, it's a lot to do with how the dough actually comes out afterwards in terms of mouthfeel. It's a thick dough, but in no way is it stretchy or like chewy in that way. There's, you know, it gives as soon as you bite. And that, you know, again, has a lot to do with this preparation method. So you can see it's quite dry. I'm going to try to get it into a dough first. If I think that it's not going to come together for sure, I might add a little bit more water, but once you actually stick it in the bag and start stepping on it, it's dry, but we're gonna try for it. It is a tad dry, so feel free to just kind of add a couple drops of water to that. And then, to the best of my ability, I will just kind of get it to come together just a wee bit. You can see there is still some pieces that are dry. I'm gonna take a plastic bag. So, plastic bag, and then I'm gonna actually put the rest in here as well. Close it up. And then what I'm gonna do is 20 to 30 steps. I'll step on it until it gets to kind of like a longer rectangle. I'll fold it into three, step, step it out into a rectangle, fold it into three. And I'll do this a while. Let's see. So I don't know if you see that, but already just the kind of the weight of my body, the foot, it kind of has squished all of the drier pieces into the dough. Okay, so now I'm just gonna fold this into 3. We're gonna do the same thing again. Do it right in the bag to keep it easy. Okay. And place it again. Get it kind of in the center. See how nicely it's come together. Just this is like the second press. Okay. So it's actually okay if the dough is or seemingly a bit dry if you knead it by hand, but if you knead something by stepping on it, it's actually a lot easier to get it all into one thing. Okay, so So this is the final bit. I folded it into 3, and we're just gonna let it rest for about a half an hour. You can actually see it's really nicely incorporated. Like there are no more dry patches, there's no more dry pieces, and it doesn't stick to your hand, but it is quite substantial, and it's it's very relaxing to be stamping on dough. So that's that. Again, 30 minutes, and then we'll come back. Okay, so we've let it rest a bit. So I think what you need to remember about this in terms of the thickness is when it hits the water and when it cooks in the water, this noodle will expand and it'll get thicker as well. So if you make this as thick as you think typically the udon that you eat is, it's going to get even thicker in the water. So just keep it a little bit thinner. Still hard to roll just because it's a dense dough, but should be okay.
So I tried your typical way of cutting the noodles first, which is by bending it and then cutting it into slices. But because this is spelt dough, there was a lot of, little bits and grits in there. The bends actually didn't unfold after I finished cutting the noodles. So a better option to do this is actually to keep the dough flat, straight, and just take a really long ruler and start cutting it. It is harder that way, but you're going to get a smooth noodle instead of a noodle with, 3 bends in it.
Okay, so I recently did the method where you fold this on top of itself and then you cut it just like you do normal udon. But because spelt, and this is wholemeal spelt, functions a little bit more like gluten-free flour in that it cracks. It doesn't really go back to its original shape once bent. Like the lines stay. So I think the best way to do this is actually, if you take like a ruler, you have to kind of do it straight. So that it stays straight. You're gonna just have to cut these fairly straight. I think I could probably do something like that, but I'd say keep it straight for the most part. Too much, or else it'll keep this shape, okay? So udon typically is cooked for a while. I'm going to give it a try, like I've heard about 17 minutes really. Usually it's like around 15 minutes, so it's a fairly long amount of time. I'm going to give these guys a try as time goes, and then I'll report back. Probably needs the last one, huh? So I actually cooked this for right around 15 minutes. A good tip for, I say this all the time, is just like take a piece, give it a bite. If it's all cooked on the inside, it should be fine. So it's held up really well, and I will try it out for you after I dump the water out. It looks like proper. This is not pretty because I literally flipped it out, but it looks like proper udon. It looks really good. Okay, so let's try a bit of this. Right, it's just the center is still a bit hard, and I thought that I had tried it, but it's actually, anyways, besides that, the noodle is quite good. It has the same kind of mouthfeel or like bite that udon would have. It's very dense, it's thick, and it has some pushback just because it's so dense and thick, but at the same time you can just kind of bite through it because it's not bouncy. In that way. I will say though that it is wholemeal spelt, so, and you can see it, so you will be tasting little specks of the fiber and the bran that is outside, which is exactly what you want for whole food plant-based, because it is the fiber and the nutrients that's going to keep this noodle filling you up, feeds your gut, which is ever more so important. That phrase? Now more than ever. That's the phrase. Now more than ever, fiber is, ever more important because we are recognizing its role in the gut and feeding the gut flora, and your gut in turn is your health. Your gut health is your overall health, and it is reflected in that. So I'm really happy with this. The texture is really good, actually. I'm very surprised. The texture is very good, quite easy to make. It just has like little speckles of bran that you can taste. Things to note is that in my grocery store, they actually sell these frozen, not from dough stage, but after you finish cooking them. I think you can just freeze this, like put it into, you know, like a little box shape, freeze it, and the next time when you need noodles, that's how you can go about doing it without having to make it all the time, okay? So, yep, that's it for now. I'm going to move on to the next recipe, which we'll have out soon. So I hope you all enjoyed this very easy wholemeal spelt udon recipe, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye!